Welcome to NFL World, where NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob, and we're going to try this again. So, to begin, both undefeated teams, both the 49ers and the Eagles, lost to the Niners lost to the Browns in Cleveland, Ohio, and the Eagles lost to the Jets in New Jersey. And for the Niners, it was a raining kind of game. There was just rain all over the place. You saw Brock Purdy have a hard time gripping the football. At one point, he goes to throw the football, ball slips right out of his hands, almost becomes a turnover. There was a couple passes that sailed a little high, but he was fine pretty much. The one thing of note, or the two things of note, I should say, Deebo Samuel left this game, did not return with a shoulder injury, and Christian McCaffrey left this game as well with an oblique injury and did not return. And that affected what the 49ers wanted to do. They could not have the versatility of a Deebo Samuel and the versatility of a Christian McCaffrey. So I think that affected Brock Purdy a little bit, and then him being under constant duress throughout the game. But I'm also impressed that the Browns went and won a game with their third different starting quarterback of the year in PJ Walker, who didn't play terrible, 2 picks, but did enough. There was a couple times I'm like, "Oh, no, don't do that," or, no, not there. Don't do that. Don't throw that. That was almost a pick. You should have tried to slide down, don't throw it. Waste time." And on the final drive, Brock Purdy had him going a little bit. They end up spiking it, taking the field goal, and Moody missed his second kick of the day. And that's how the Browns beat the Niners. I'm a little concerned if Deebo and Christian McCaffrey miss time, but something that a lot of teams needed was this Niners team to not go undefeated very long. And the next team that was undefeated was the Eagles. The Eagles, on the Eagles side of it, they just, excuse me. First of all, there was a litany of injuries. Darius Slay was not playing in this game. Jalen Carter was not playing in this game. But if you go to the Jets side of it, both their starting corners were out. DJ Reed was out. Sauce Gardner was out. I didn't know that DJ Reed was going to be out until I actually saw the graphic. I thought he was going to play. He had a concussion. Sauce Gardner, it was told, I believe, on Friday that he wasn't going to go. So your two guys are down there. You're down at the cornerback position. And yet this defense for the Jets stepped up, made plays. The Eagles, besides that one touchdown in the Eagles never got anything easy in this game, which I found was very impressive and a great coaching job by Saleh and his group of coaches. The first touchdown that the Eagles score, Jalen Hurts runs it. He sticks the ball over the goal line. At first, they thought he fumbled. It would have given the Jets the ball on the 1 or inside the 1. But they called it a touchdown. Then the Jets go and kick a field goal. Then later on in the game, Hurts throws a touchdown to Swift, who scores, and then it's 14-3. And then Jets kick another field goal. The Eagles have the ball. They throw it back to. They throw. I believe they had 2 turnovers in the first half. One was an interception that the pass to Goddard. Goddard can't hang on to it. Gets intercepted by Quinn Williams. and I believe the Jets couldn't do anything with that. Then DeAndre Swift catches a pass from Jalen Hurts. It gets punched out by C.J. Mosley. Quincy Williams, the brother of Quinnen, recovers it, and I believe that led to a field goal. So they ended up going to half 14-9 instead of 14-6. And in that, then the Eagles' offense just completely stalled out. They had some offensive showings, but nothing was happening in this game. And you had people like Devontae Smith dropping passes, balls getting tipped up in the air, Jalen Hurts having to run for his life. There was a lot going on. And again, same thing for the Eagles as it was for the 49ers. Injuries took a toll in this game. They had a couple injuries. Roby, the corner they picked up last week, I believe, he got hurt. They had another corner get hurt. Lane Johnson, their gifted right tackle, he went out with an injury, did not return. So there was a lot of injuries that were happening, and they could not keep up. And in the first half, you said, okay, the Eagles' offense looked decent, not great, but decent. And in the second half, they just couldn't get anything going. And then they, in the fourth quarter, take a deep shot down the field to A.J. Brown, which he hauls in and gives the Eagles a chance to go kick a field goal, which the kicker of the Eagles missed. At that point, it was 14-9. 14-12, excuse me, 14-12. And that kept the Jets in the game. And the Jets' offense was bad. They were not good, but they hung around, and finally did what they have to do. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, threw 2 more picks in the second half. One was a tipped ball. Hurts could not go through his complete throwing motion. Ball gets tipped up in the air, gets intercepted by one of those backup corners. And in the final part of the game that ended up leading to the Jets' touchdown by Breece Hall, Hurts he stares down Goddard. And Dallas Goedert is standing right there. And there's 2 guys, 2 Jets defenders just standing there. And Hurts just stares down Goddard, finally throws it to Goddard. It gets picked off by a backup safety, returns it inside the 10. Breece Hall goes on the next play and scores a touchdown, which again, you're like, oh no, don't do that. Oh no, don't do that. But it worked. They scored. And then the Eagles go for it and lose the game. After on the 4th down play, Hurts kind of shuffles to his left, throws it to Devontae Smith, who was double covered, wasn't going to have a chance at the ball. You're hoping it's a pass interference. Nothing was called. Game over. So that's how both undefeated teams lost. Now, I've said this before, and I continue to say this. I think the Niners are the best team in the league. There's a lot of injuries. They got to stay healthy. They got a lot of older players, but I think they're the best team in the league. I think the Eagles, if they don't, because the next game the Eagles have is the Dolphins. That's a tough game. So I want to see if Darius Slay does come back for that one, or if they hold him out and say, okay, in week 8 we'll play you because we don't want you to pull something in that knee again when you tried to cover Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. Next up for the news, this came out earlier today for the Cowboys. Every Thanksgiving game has a halftime performance. And it wouldn't be the Cowboys if they didn't announce it. Last year it was the Jonas Brothers. This year it's Dolly Parton. She will be performing the halftime show. The music legend broke the news, doing an appearance on CBS Mornings. of this morning. And, probably the Cowboys aren't thrilled that she was the one to break it, but it is what it is. And I don't, I guess the Cowboys, they do this a lot. They bring in older bands for the Thanksgiving games. And you do have to enjoy it. I didn't think the Jonas Brothers were that good last year. Hope this one's better. All right, next up. And we need to talk about this. Aaron Rodgers was on the field, no crutches. He had the headset on. It was later found out that Aaron Rodgers had suggested some plays, and that's the reason the Jets won. I don't agree with that, but I think they just went to Zach and say, "Look, you know that game against the Chiefs when you just ripped it the whole time? That's what you got to do. Just do that over and over and over again. Just rip it. Set your feet and rip. That's all you got to do." And I think that's what happened. Moving on to the other team in New Jersey playing the team in New York. This is the first time that's happened since 2015. That's the last time the Giants played the Bills. And this Justin Pugh was a couple weeks ago on his couch, and now he was starting in a game on Sunday Night Football. Now, on Sunday Night Football, and I'm sure many of you have seen this, they do the introductions, and it's the player and where he went to school. And now a lot of them are doing high schools and middle schools, and that's been around, but I just don't care for the fact that every player does it now. It was funny when 1 or 2 people would do it. But for Justin Pugh, when he got to his introduction, he didn't say he went to where he went to college. He went and said, "Straight off the couch," which is indeed true. Now, Pugh played last year with Arizona, got hurt in week 3, or week 6, excuse me, week 6. So it's been about a year since he played. He was playing left guard. He played for the Giants when he got drafted and had bounced around. And so he was playing left guard, and he looked pretty good. And then an injury at the left tackle position for the Giants. They've been so banged up at left tackle that they were forced to put Justin Pugh at left tackle, which he hasn't played a whole lot of. I mean, mostly he's played guard. But I think they said he took 5 snaps at tackle over the last 3 years. It was something very minuscule. And, obviously a guy who's new, even though he's been off, and now you have a backup quarterback and a backup tackle and a backup guard. You got guys moving around. Like, they had their right guard playing left guard. They brought in they had all these injuries. They just had to shuffle. I think they said this was the 7th shuffled offensive line that they had in 6 weeks. It was insane. But I thought that was funny that Justin Pugh said straight off the couch when it got to his introduction. Next up, and I really want to discuss this because came out, and we said this last week. The Raiders beat the Patriots this week, but it keeps going around as what should the Patriots do with Bill Belichick? The only way Bill Belichick says he's not coaching the Patriots is if he says he's not coaching the Patriots. That's what's going to happen. In any other circumstance, he's coaching the Patriots. Now, they're 1-5. They didn't play terrible against the Raiders, but now he's 15-16, or 16-17 against former pupils. I think if I'm Belichick, At what point do we say, "Okay, this offensive line can't block. We can't really run the ball well. We need someone with mobility. Bailey Zappi's not exactly the guy with mobility. What about Malik Cunningham? What about Will Grier, who's on the practice squad? They need to do something." And I think they're getting more and more desperate as it's progressing because what are you going to do at this point? There's nothing else you can do. Next up, we have the Cowboys and Chargers play on Monday Night Football at 8:15. No Manning cast tonight, by the way. If I'm the Cowboys, this is a great game for you to get back. The Eagles and Niners both lost. If you win this game, you head into your bye week and you lost one more game than them, knowing that the Eagles have to go against the Dolphins, you feel pretty good. Now, you're not completely good, but you feel pretty good. And maybe, just maybe when you come back, you have the same amount of losses as they do when you go and face the Rams. Now, this Cowboys schedule for the next 4 weeks, including today against the Chargers, it's Chargers bye week, Rams, Eagles. Three tough games in 4 weeks. And that's kind of how the Cowboys schedule goes. It's tough games through 4 weeks. 3 tough games in 4 weeks. That's basically how it goes the whole year. You get Chargers, you get the bye week, you get Rams, who have played really well, and then you get Eagles. You have to be able to prove in the next month that you can do this. It starts with the Chargers. Don't overlook them. And take it one game at a time. I know it's an old cliche, but take it one game at a time and see what happens. And finally, the game recap portion of this. We had gone 3-0. First of all, the Chiefs beat the Broncos 19-8. I thought the Broncos defense looked terrific. I thought the Broncos offense looked terrible. The inability to move the ball. Russell Wilson never looked comfortable. And I thought this was a great point. It was brought up when it was asked, and they said the reason Russell doesn't look comfortable is he's taking 6-yard dropbacks and trying to throw the ball, and the ball's getting batted down. Yes, I get that, because Chris Jones is one of the best at batting the balls down. And they said, well, he's not able to make the plays. And Steve Weish made this point on the Rich Eisen show on Friday and said, look, they're not good enough to do a 6-yard dropback. Run play actions, allow him to see the entire field and make plays. Now, I'll go with a simpler answer. I don't think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton work together. I don't think they work together. I think there's a definite issue with that. I think they play two different styles. Russell Wilson's more of an improviser. He improvises on the run, which is what he did in Seattle for all those years. And Sean Payton's more, let's drop back, let's throw it, let's use a great run game and stuff like that, which you can do, but run the play action and give them the opportunity so he can open the field a little bit. Dropbacks are not exactly Russell Wilson's style, and if you're having him start under center and he's only doing like a 6-yard drop back and that's it, well, start him in shotgun and let him roll back. makes it easier for the quarterback. Because now you can open your play action better. But at the same time, that's not Sean Payton's thing, which we always criticize coaching or players, but we don't criticize coaching. Sometimes you got to know who you have and what they do well and limit the things they don't do well. And that's if you're a rookie, and that's if you're a 10-year vet. And they got to try and do that with Russell. Realize, all right, dropbacks are not his thing. So let's limit the dropbacks from under center, and let's use the play action. Because the Chiefs never looked good on offense. They kept turning the ball over. But the Broncos offense could not do a thing. It was like if you watched the Jets and Eagles game. The Eagles offense looked all over the place. They were dropping passes. They struggled against the coverages. But the Jets offense couldn't do anything. So no matter how good their defense was, their offense really, really struggled. And they were just able to hang around and won the game. But you can't, if you go to the Broncos, you kept the Chiefs under 20. You're expecting to win that game. Yet you only scored 8. That can't happen. Next up, had the Lions against the Buccaneers, which the game was 20-6. In a game where I think the Lions, I said this to begin the year, they're going to score 20 points, and then they might just stop you at all. Now, Montgomery did get hurt, had a rib injury. X-rays were negative, getting an MRI today. But I think that's how the Lions want to play. They want to be physical. They want to just go. We got guys that can stop the run. We're athletic. Our offense can dice you up in multiple ways. And that's the team that Dan Campbell wants. And we all made fun of Dan Campbell when he went under his opening press conference and he said, we're going to bite people's kneecaps off. It's like, what? That makes no sense. But then you're like, hold it. Yes, they only won one game his first year as a coach. His second year, they 1-6. They go on that run, and they are one game maybe away from playoffs. And in this year, they've been dominant. They've rolled people. The scoreboard might not say it, but the on-field presence says it. The game against the Chiefs, they won by a point. But if you looked at the on-field product, no, they won by more than that. Just the scoreboard says that. That's what the Lions are doing. They're not scoring, except for I think 1 or 2 games they scored over 30. But they're not scoring more than they have to. So the scoreboard says something, but the on-field presence shows something else. That's what the Lions are doing. And that's what they did in this game. Scored 20 points, and the Buccaneers couldn't score 10. That's how good the Lions played. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a touchdown. Jameson Williams had a touchdown. Everyone played well. And again, if you flip it for the Bucs, this is not a bad loss in any way. You're still a really good team, but you faced a way more physical team on all fronts, and that is hard to beat. Next up, we have the Patriots losing to the Raiders. Josh McDaniels is now 3-0 against Bill Belichick. Actually, 4-0 against Bill Belichick. I don't know why they showed 3. It's 4 because he was the coach last year. He is 4-0. If I'm remembering that right. I believe he's 4-0. Might be 3-0. These numbers start getting a little confusing after a while. But Josh looked really good if he was going to be the quarterback. But here's the thing. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Brian Hoyer came into this game. Did we ever think we were going to have a Brian Hoyer revenge game against the Patriots? Probably not. But Brian Hoyer played in this game. This game was a close game, 19-17 before in the final minutes. Mac Jones takes a sack, safety, 21-17, and that was it. Do you blame how this offense played? No. But again, the Raiders defense, it struggled. The fact that you got 17 points might just be because of them. So I will make note Zeke Elliott did have a touchdown in this game. That's his first touchdown of the year. Didn't think it was going to take till week 6, but it did. He could have had another touchdown of like 70 plus yards, but they called it back. But if I'm the Raiders, you won this game. You won 2 games when your team hasn't looked that good. You've won 2 games. You're in the thick of it at this point. Let's keep going. Let's keep on winning. And finally, I still have the Cowboys beating the Chargers 28-21. And I think Dak Prescott's going to be ready to go in this game. I think this offense of the Cowboys is going to be explosive. They're going to take some chances. Because I think they've tried to keep Dak Prescott so rely on the system. But if you can't play well and you again only score 10 points against the Niners, they're going to unleash him, I think, in this game. They're going to try and run the ball, but they're going to unleash Dak Prescott in this game. I believe Dak Prescott has a big game. Cowboys win 28-21 over the LA Chargers. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.